Hey everyone, just trying to organize. Believe in yourself. We're in a battle here. Hey, this is Catherine Isabel Jennings for your Life Matters News and Comment and your Life Matters Wellness. Today's spin is on the news and a comment, I believe. Before I even get going with data, I'm a data geek. I think you guys know that. And that being said, we know in part. And the topic of my of this video is breaking out of the sheep mindset. Breaking out of the sheep mindset, and it has to do with media, and it has to do with being inundated to skew you, to herd you. So I'm trying to give you a perspective, and I hope that I can help you with that. And your life really does matter, singularly, in your family, in your identity, in your group of your community, in your church, in your synagogue, wherever. Your life does matter, and you have a say, and you can stand, and you can be an individual in a group. You can stand up for your we know in part, and I'm going to explain that in 1 second. I just want to get this one person up here right now, and I'm trying to figure out where I had her. Okay, I don't have her there. Just give me a second. I had this one person here, and oh gosh darn. Okay, I can't do that. Well, forgive me. Anyway, anytime I put the music on, it throws everything off. So Marjorie Green is who I'm trying to get up right now, Congresswoman. All right, so here's the crux, or how I'm framing all of this, is we have a we know in part. Our individual person has one, and how it's infiltrated, and it's our choice, or maybe it's not. Maybe we are just getting just barraged, and we're trying to sift through everything and wondering what is truth and what isn't. And when we're in this place, we are like almost herded into a direction, or we can allow ourselves to be herded into a direction. So by saying that, my husband came out with this comment this morning, and he goes, no matter what you're hearing, no matter what you're seeing, we are all going to pass away. What really holds truth to you? What really holds truth? The chaos, the being herded. I'm going to direct you away from the herd, but ultimately, we know in part, and what will sustain us past the chaos, what will sustain us past insanity, or skewed perspectives, because you're going to get I think it was my daughter that said many months ago, you're going to get your perspective skewed because it fits you. There's a bigger picture than that, a lot bigger picture, and don't get inundated. Allow inundation, if that's a word. Do not allow inundation to form you, because a lot of times when there is a huge dumpage of being inundated, it's got a underlying fear factor to skew you, to herd you. And that's wisdom right there. I didn't know I was going to say that. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you there's signs of the times of this mayhem, this skewing. What are the main topics that you are dealing with right now? Well, let's look at it. The vaccines. Why are we pushing so hard, so strong for this virus? Why are we hearing it 24/7? It's because it's getting indoctrinated in you, okay, that a vaccine is the way of doing something, the only way of doing something. And what happened to the scientific model? Well, you know what? I can explain that in a second. I'm just going to give you the major issues that are in front of you that are causing this iron kettle of full boiling information being kicked in front of you every day in the course of the day. Critical race theory is being thrown at you, and it's like mainstream now. Vaccines and the mask issues, open borders, the Equality Act, which is passed. I'm going to touch basically on all these things. Gun control, our rights to protect ourselves is being right in front of the House right now. The treatment of vaccines, treatment versus a vaccine. Look at these things. So these are some that I've put down, but people who have children, gosh, you're this whole school lockdown thing, trying to juggle that and trying to make sense of all these other little things that are dropping in your lap. You are so tired that you're going to accept someone else's "we know in part." How much of that are you accepting, people? How much of that are you saying, okay, I'm so beat the snot out of on all these issues, I'm going to follow you. Okay, this is why I got on today, okay? I wanted to kind of like shock you into you can still stand your ground and you can say no. You have rights, you have intuition, you have a gut feeling, you have common sense. It is still with you, people. It is still with you. And so your quote, "we know in part," which is a biblical saying, "we know in part," should not be skewed by others "we know in part" to herd you in a different direction. Herd you, okay? And I think that's the biggest thing I can say to you, except for I got to value my husband. He goes, no matter if you're choosing to be herded or not to be herded. H-E-R, not H-E-R-D, okay? If you are choosing to just be burnt out, guess what? The ultimate thing is, what can you take with you when we're all going to die, and how you want to choose your death. And we are actually choosing things right now. You have no idea. If we're choosing, the ultimate is, what are you going to do with that? Okay. And I will go there after I explain this. Okay. So critical race theory, where did it come from? I like Charlie Kirk's 5 points on what it does. I respect you to entertain the notion that you're smart enough to look up Charlie Kirk's simple 5-point definition of critical race theory. But I will give you an overview very simply. Basically, it came from critical theory, and that was a Marxist idea in the 1920s. And this gentleman, I can't pronounce his name very well. Let me get his name. Max Horkheimer, I believe that's his. He basically he was a separatist, a communist separatist in the Nazi Party. He stepped away. He formed the Frankfurt School, and he was, I like this word, it's theoretician. Theoretician. So basically, the whole premise of critical theory is, in fact, a theory. It is not necessarily something that we have to be governed under. Okay, so the premise is like no difference than a hypothesis. These are two tools that we can work to understand, but it does not have to become us. We can work towards understanding it. Unfortunately, the term theory, in this case anyway, it is defined after a solid history of communism, a Marxist communism, and it has been adopted since into our country since the 1970s and earlier, I believe, because there was a student, I believe her name, what the heck was her name? Let me just get her name. I believe it could have been Cheryl Harris, but I believe it was Kimberly Crenshaw. The student was underneath this man in Germany, and she was a professor, or she was an educator. So she brought this man with her into our country, and she hopped around all of her connections in the academia world, okay? And she called that critical race theory because it became a hub word. It's a hub word, people. And before it became a hub word, guess what? Critical theory itself was under sociology, under literature, under education, under social work, under poetry, under archaeology, and international relations. These are different topics that critical theory formulated itself under, and this person, Kimberly, decides, okay, let's make it an agenda for race in our country because race is a hot spot. Okay? I do not believe that we are actually helping races under critical race theory. I don't believe it because the agenda itself, the core values of the agenda, is dispelling your rights to own land and property and make your own way. Okay, so if you're dispelling that, that means that you in fact are enhancing the communist mindset of a pseudo equality where a lot of people, you're allowing a few people above you govern you, and this is wrong. It's an error, and I just started looking up Marxism versus the United States Constitution, and I will go into that research. I just started, so please pray for me as I do that. But that's where I was with critical race theory. Okay. Open borders. All right. Every single country in the world has its machine to accept and reject people coming into their country. It's called visas. It's called getting in, if you have permission to come in by their system of government, you can come in, and it is a systematic approach to entering and leaving a country. We have open borders, which totally is dispelling our safety mechanism. We didn't have a wall put up, okay, to hold back whatever is coming into this country for nothing. And I know a lot of people don't appreciate the wall, but if you look at the history of coming into our country, we've had acceptance and all. Bring me your tired, bring me your weak, bring me whatever. It doesn't say open borders. It says bring me and let's do our due process, because we do have the United States Constitution. We do have this, and we have our due process. I have so many friends that have had to come in to ask for a green card, take months. Okay, and some of them are missionaries and some of them are huge scholars, okay? And I've had them go through the United States due process to just enter and occupy and go to school here. And I've had to help people, several families, get political asylum, okay, from their countries because of how terrible and wretched it is. But they went through the due process in honor of our way of doing something to come in and get that political asylum. Now we have open borders, okay? That says anybody can come in. And here's the problem that people aren't even telling you. Oh my gosh, Dan Crenshaw is down there in Texas. I'm sure there's a lot of other guys. Okay, Mark Rubio, they're down there firsthand. Are you down there firsthand to see this? No, you're not hearing this. But these guys are down there and they're getting inundated with anybody to come in. Anybody can come into our country now for any reason at all. And guess what? We are being pressed in all over and squished as citizens and having our rights taken away from us. And basically, we have to wear a mask everywhere, but these people can come into our country without any protection. Okay? I don't agree with masks. I will tell you that right out now, but I will respect you and your space. But we're letting anybody come in with any kind of disease and just flooding our gates. And the big thing that people gave so much crap about President Trump was, these quote cages. for children, if you will, or holding tanks or whatever you want to call it. The Obama administration built those. They built those, and Melania Trump was down there trying to figure out how to make this a better environment for these kids. But a lot of these unparented children are coming in and being smuggled in for sex trafficking. Huge problem in our country. But you're not hearing this. And I'm hoping that you get the smarts enough to step out of the sheep molding process by listening to the wisdom and delving and understanding things for yourself. Because this is what's going on. Now you've got this huge influx of people coming in, and you've got a displaced bunch of kids that you've never, ever could surmise down there. These children are coming in by droves, and the containers, if you want to call them that, they are way past capacity. Why? Because we have an administration that says, just open the borders. We don't care. And we don't care who's coming in. And we're not screening them. We're not screening that. Just like we're releasing criminals from prison. People, we have got to step up and say what is going on is wrong. It is totally wrong. It's not acceptable. And our lives matter as United States citizens in America. Vaccines. Okay, let's go before I get to vaccines. The Equality Act was just passed this week. What this does, and I have Congressman Marjorie Greene, who was appalled. She stood up and she says, do you understand, America? Do you understand that we women have pushed forward to get rights for all levels, okay, for 100 years? And this Equality Act has just kicked us in the gut and actually tossed us aside. Okay, basically what it does is it actually says that there's no two genders anymore. There's a middle one. And I will go there in a second with religion. But here's the deal with my adolescent girls. The girls that are out there that are trying to grow up to be some kind of female woman, strong and have fortitude and press into their education and their wellness in their body and their spirit. Guess what? It is so freaking hard for girls to walk into adolescence with this body change that's going on, okay, and they're exploring this body change as nature wants it to be, and they're starting to get a value system at that time and independence at that time, and whatever they're trying to assimilate, okay, and now what you have is a free-for-all. A biologically created person who is identifying under the DSM-4 and 5 for, I forgot the terminology, dysphoria, okay, of gender dysphoria. So you've got this person who's confused and coming into a situation that is really toxic, coming into a tender situation for adolescent girls and just being thrown in there, anything goes. And he's biological. He is biological. What you are saying, people, is by saying that transgender is, a human being, another form of whatever, questioning an identity, what you are saying is that God screwed up and he didn't know what he was doing. Okay, Creator God made two genders. He made two. Okay, and this is a mental illness, and we're accepting it as it is not. You know why? Because there's boku billions of dollars being tossed in there because people can have access to printed money. Okay, and they don't care if you have an issue with gender. They don't care. People don't care. They're just making freaking money off of you. They're making money off of you. Okay, and at the expense of your identity and at the expense of our girls. And I hope that, that we have a South Dakota governor. Anyway, she says, guess what? No matter what, I'm the governor here, and a transgender person is not going to be allowed in the bathrooms, with our girls. Nope. If they are biological at birth, they are not coming in. At least we have someone who has the fortitude and the balls to say that. Yes, the balls. Okay. There's so much there. Religious freedoms. Okay, basically what the Equality Act is saying right now is no matter what we believe as truth, a deep-seated, integrated truth to who we are, it doesn't freaking matter. Just like a woman's identity doesn't matter. A deep-seated spiritual truth inside of us that we are governed by is no longer valid. It's no longer of any value to you. So you critical race theorists that wanted this to happen, it did. It's not going to change who we are, though, just to let you know. It's not. But it does put a stamp on so many things, because now we who have the fortitude and the integrity, who are trying to have it anyway, we're not perfect, I'm not saying that, but we who have the integrity to say, no, life begins at conception, we're going to have to pay our tax dollars. We have to now. And we're going to have to perform, if we're in the medical profession, abortions now. And we're going to have to, if a 14-year-old girl comes to us and says, I want to be a guy. I want to be a guy. She's 14 and she wants her boobs cut off. Guess what? We have to, under the under the Equality Act, we have to perform that treatment, quote, treatment for her at the expense of our integrity. And we know different. Okay? So that's what the Equality Act is all about. Gun control, I'm going to give this one to my little friend Marjorie. I'm going to have her tell you what this is, because I appreciate how she says this. While I'm getting that up, I'm going to talk to you, while I'm getting her data up, I'm going to talk to you about treatment versus a vaccine. I think that we have been so skewed. My research, I have, at least there's panels out there now, panels of people that are saying vaccines are not good for you, but you're not hearing it because of a bot media. And it's so darn frustrating. It's so darn frustrating. Oh, where are you, girlfriend? Let me look. Oh, man. Anyway, I wish I had a partner here. So let me get into the definition of vaccines. What you're not getting, people, is that vaccine definitions are to stimulate the immune system to interject something, the disease itself. Okay, and I even looked at the definition of the vaccine. I'm going to give you this data. This is great stuff. Okay. So I looked up the definition of vaccine. Now, first of all, some of the people I'm going to highlight. Dr. Tenpenny, huge. I'm going to let her talk to you in a minute. Huge on synthetics, okay? But I looked up the definition of vaccine, and it looks like it has had 702 million hits to define what a vaccine is. That's pretty substantial, all right? I'm going to give you that. A basic definition is a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases. I'm going to look up this word because I didn't get a chance to, but regarding COVID anyway, prepared from the causative agent. I want to look up what the causative agent is in the COVID vaccine. Its products or a synthetic substitute. Who defines what is a good synthetic substitute? Treated to act as an antigen without inducing disease. Okay, so let's see. A biological preparation that provides active instinctive acquired immunity to a particular description. All right, I'm going to give you that. Then I'm going to give you the definition of a medical treatment. By the way, that had 478 million results. Medical treatment. There's so many of them, okay? But I'm going to try to bridge them. I would like Dr. Tenpenny to explain it to you because she's a doctor, but I'm just reading this, okay? This is from the Law Insider, by the way. Number 1 means examination and treatment by a legally qualified physician for a condition which first manifested itself, worsened or became acute, or had symptoms which would have prompted a reasonable person to seek diagnosis, care, and treatment. First of all, I want to go back to that reasonable person. We're all reasonable people. We're all reasonable, but when someone's pushing a fear agenda on you, when does reason stop? When does reasoning stop? Because we're being inundated. Remember this topic that when I first came into this video, we actually are being inundated and we're getting tired. So, are you reasonable right now? Or are you emotional? Are you being proactive? Or are you in researching? Or are you being emotionally bullied? Okay, and I believe that's what's happening. So I wanted to bridge these two because I am going to put up, something on, where are you, love? Somebody said this, and I'm going to put this on now, and I hope you hear this. Okay, this is Dr. Timpany.
Make sure we're clear on something. Let's stipulate that this is not a vaccine. We need to be really clear. We're using the term vaccine to sneak this thing under public health exemptions. This is not a vaccine. This is a mRNA packaged in a fat envelope that is delivered to a cell. It is a medical device designed to stimulate the human cell into becoming a pathogen creator. It is not a vaccine. Vaccines actually are a legally defined term, and they're a legally defined term under public health law. They're a legally defined term under CDC and FDA standards, and a vaccine specifically has to stimulate both an immunity within the person receiving it, but it also has to disrupt transmission. And that is not what this is. They have been abundantly clear in saying that the mRNA strand that is going into the cell is not to stop transmission. It is a treatment. But if it was discussed as a treatment, it would not get the sympathetic ear of public health authorities, because then people would say, well, what other treatments are there? The use of the term vaccine is unconscionable for both the legal definition term of it, but also because it actually is the sucker punch to open and free discourse. Because by saying vaccine, you dump it into a thing where you could be anti or pro the therapy. But if you actually talked about it as a therapy, remember, and people forget this, Moderna was started as a chemotherapy company for cancer, not a vaccine manufacturer for SARS. If we said we're going to give people prophylactic chemotherapy for the cancer they don't have, you'd be laughed out of a room because it's a stupid idea. That's exactly what this is. This is a mechanical device in the form of a very small packet of technology that is being inserted into the human system to activate the cell to become a pathogen manufacturing site. And I refuse to stipulate in any conversations that this is in fact a vaccine issue. The only reason why the term is being used is to abuse the 1905 Jacobson case that has been misrepresented since it was written. And if we were honest with this, we would actually call it what it is. It is a chemical pathogen device that is actually meant to unleash a chemical pathogen production action within a cell. It is a medical device, not a drug, because it meets the CDRH definition of a device. It is not a living system. It is not a biologic system. It is a physical technology. It happens to just come in the size of a molecular package. So we need to be really clear on making sure we don't fall for their game, because their game is, if we talk about it as a vaccine, then we're going to get into a vaccine conversation. But this is not, by their own admission, a vaccine.
So, Judy, isn't
the result?
Okay, so
I be clear to everyone listening that we will not.
So, if you want to know more on that video, please message me. Dr. Tenpenny was going to speak, but I have to get off soon. So that is something to be, I have to inform you. There are so many good doctors, Dr. Buttar, Dr. Tenpenny, this panel that's here. They are bringing 101 definitions to something that is so intrinsic in their medical profession. They know what they're talking about, and the media is not telling you. Okay, so I wanted to share before I go that your life matters. I have to go, unfortunately, but your life matters, and it is up to you to step away from being herded. And you are smart enough for that. You just are. You're a valuable person. God created you in a very special way, 2 genders, okay? And those who do not identify with either or, we need to help them and value them, but we do not have to succumb to medical terminology and laws that say that challenge us in hurting our core value system, because we the people united can work to do something good and not out of rage. Anyway, you guys are awesome, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You're worth it. We're worth it. And please give me feedback and forward this to people. Check out Dr. Buttar. Check out Dr. Shiva Ayudari for core values on physics, on government. Check out Dr. Tenpenny. Seriously, these people will help us. And I know that they will, and I value them. I value you. Your life matters. Have a good day.